Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Where do we go from here? Forward is the only logical choice, in my opinion, and even the opinion of the WHO, World Health Organization. Here in November 2021, we've got at the end, going into December, we've got a new COVID variant, first identified in South Africa, I believe. It's already been identified in a number of countries, Europe, and probably in most countries around the world already. It's just a matter of detecting them. The good news is that I believe it was the doctor who identified this in South Africa came out and said, "No worries, don't worry about this so much because it is a rather mild symptoms." And that's a generalization, but there are other sites. In fact, I'll give you a hint about a couple sites you might want to watch if you're interested more in the details of this. But I'm going to talk about a little bit about where do we go from here. What are the projections out? And the Philippines, for instance, and other countries have already started adding countries to their no-go zone, no travel zone, what they call a red list country. The Philippines had a number of African countries because of the variant. This is coming into Ayala Mall here, and you've got a bunch of taxis lined up, just a huge number of taxis. This is one of the main entrances to Ayala Mall, the big Ayala Mall in Cebu City. And I'm taking two different hobble rides, and here you'll meet my driver. What's your name?
Wing Wing.
Wing Wing. You want to be on camera? And this is a second hobble ride in the evening. Hobble motorbike taxi. And he gave me a very fair price for the trip, and so I tipped him. And I always do that. If they try to overcharge me, they might not get a tip. But many times they're very honest. They quote me the Filipino price, and I really appreciate that. But anyway, there's where do we go from here? The countries, the Philippines is blocking more countries from Europe, Austria, and a number of other countries, and that can change daily or weekly. Now, we have seen over the last month or two, we have seen more opening up, more leniency in enforcement, in restrictions and their enforcement. Going into December here, we'll get a new set of rules anyway, different provinces and cities, and they do that every 15 days, basically on the 1st and the 15th, and then it might take up to a week to kind of clarify what they mean by that and put the actual information into place. So nobody really knows what's going on for the first week of the month and after the 15th. And the problem with that is how do any businesses plan? How do any travelers plan? This is the Clow Residences, I believe it's called, new condominium going up behind Queenland Manor in Cebu City. And how do you plan? How do you order merchandise? How do you order food if you're a restaurant or a bar? And something that happened fairly recently too. We're in the Tri-Cities area, or in the Cebu metro area, Cebu City metropolitan area. You got Cebu City, you got Mandaue City, you got Lapu-Lapu City across the bridges on Mactan Island, the Tri-Cities, and each of the governments has different rules in place. So in fact, I started shopping. I've got a new favorite place to shop for some of my imported goods now, because Mandaue City, S&R, which is like a Costco membership club, S&R, is in Mandaue City. I went there the other day, and I was told that I didn't have a vaccination card with me. You're not allowed in here, sir. Mandaue City says you're not allowed in here to buy groceries. And so I left. So I've, discrimination goes both ways. I've found a new site, and I found that Landers has changed quite a bit. in Cebu City, and they had no restrictions. They've got many of the products that I seek out, and some decent prices. They had some pretty good specials going into the Christmas time, and it's much closer for me to go there rather than S&R. So I suspect the unintended consequences of that, of locking a lot of people out of their grocery stores and even some malls and stuff, I think, is that Mandaue City will collect a lot less in tax revenue because they've basically said, hey, we don't want your business here in Mandaue City. Go a few blocks over here and shop in Lapu-Lapu, Mactan Island, go to Cebu City and shop. And that's the way it works even in the U.S. states. They set up real high taxes in one state on food or something. People cross the state border into another state to shop. When I get up in the morning after I make some coffee, I scan news sites from Asia, from the Philippines, from Asia, Europe, America, North America. Occasionally get a little bit of South America type news, looking for any particular news that jumps out at me that I should read. And I'm aware there are many countries are panicking over this new variant. And let's just really hope that they don't go back in the wrong direction and start locking things down. I watched a Thai channel here the other day, and maybe I'll put a link to one of his videos. In Thai Integrity Legal, something like that. It's a law firm that works in immigration. He puts out a video almost every day, very short little video on one topic. And I've been watching him for many months, and like Thailand too. They're saying one of the Thai officials came out and saying, look, we've been trying to attract tourists, but we're getting little to no tourists. The people who are coming are expats, people they've got a relationship here, a family here, they've got a business here. Those are the people who are coming back, jumping through all the hoops. And the same thing is going to happen here in the Philippines and other places. As long as there are extra restrictions, requirements, and costs, and risk, a lot of risk, because these governments have proven over the last 18 months that they can change the rules very short notice. And my partner's friend, in fact, went to Mindanao 2 different times, went down there. The rules changed. She got stuck down there the first time, I think, over 6 months. Couldn't come back to work. Went down to see her family. And the last time, she ended up having to quarantine 14 days because they changed the rules, some part of the Mindanao that she went to, I guess. So if these countries truly are interested in the economy recovering, there is no choice but to open up to protect the vulnerable, and they know who the vulnerable are. There's a long list of people who are the most vulnerable to severe illness and death from this virus. So protect them and learn to live with it, just like you've learned to live with influenza, with flu, with measles, with car accidents, with heart disease, and everything else. There's Ruston's, that's another side of Ayala there, and a couple of condominiums there. In a normal year, the malls would be full of shoppers, especially on weekends, and I've been to several malls over the last couple of weeks, and they are basically deserted compared to a normal shopping Christmas season. Supply chain issues for grocery, for different things, that is an issue around the world because of these lockdowns for so long. And everybody sees the camera and wants to say hello here. And I stocked up on a number of things that I appreciate, that I like to have. Bought a lot more those items than I would normally because of the supply issues.
Amazing Philippines.
But at this point in time, we're just going to have to sit and wait and see what the powers that be, what they're going to do here. We have an election coming up May 2022, and that may affect some things too. Anyway, stay safe. See ya.